I'm Audrey Grant. Welcome to this issue of News and Views, the Better Bridge Teacher's Newsletter. In this issue, the book review is Punished by Rewards by Alfie Cohen. The textbook is 2/1 Game Force. Should we be teaching this to our beginners? Should we be teaching it at all? The teaching tip is one that encourages us to be flexible in the way we use the carefully constructed deals that are in all of the Better Bridge textbooks. The book review. It's one of my favorite educational books. Here it is, Punished by Rewards, and it's by Alfie Cohen. When I found this book, I was really ready for it. I was having difficulty with words. Good, well done, excellent, tasty, delicious. There are so many ways of running out of words to say, well done. So when I found this book, I was ready for it. I decided that I would give up praising. This is the first part of chapter 1 in Alfie Cohen's book. There is a time to admire the grace and persuasive power of an influential idea, and there is a time to fear its hold over us. The time to worry is when the idea is so widely shared that we no longer even notice it, when it is so deeply rooted that it feels to us like plain common sense. At the point when objections are not answered anymore because they are no longer even raised, we are not in control. We do not have the idea, it has us. Now, this book is about an idea that has attained such a status in our society, and that is that praising is a good thing. Now, what Alfie Cohen says is that praising and punishing are really just one side and the other of a coin, and it's a coin, he says, that really doesn't purchase much. He goes in his 400 pages to examine in detail all of the reasons why we could just give up this habit. Early in my career, I used to give lots of gold stars and smelly stickers. I've reached some new conclusions. The body of research to convince us that there is a better way to conduct a class than to rely on praise given to an individual student during class time is vast. It's worth our consideration. Now, I'll just give you just one more quote, and this comes from Dr. Thomas Gordon's book, Teacher Effectiveness Training, and it sold over 1 million copies, and he has been nominated 3 times for the Nobel Peace Prize. He has something to say about praise also. Praising, agreeing, giving positive evaluations. While teachers easily understand the terrible hurting power of negative evaluation, they are often shocked to learn that, contrary to commonly held belief, praise is not always beneficial to students and often has very negative side effects. A positive evaluation that does not fit a student's self-image may evoke anger. I'm not a good student. Students interpret these positive messages as attempts to manipulate them, a subtle way of influencing them to do what the teacher wants. You just say that, so I'll work harder. Students correctly infer that if a teacher judges positively, there can be also a negative judgment at another time. They also correctly infer that to judge implies superiority. The absence of praise in a classroom where praise is frequently used can be interpreted by students as criticism. You didn't say anything good about my drawing, so you didn't like it? Praise is also frequently embarrassing to students when given publicly. And there are lots of other examples. Of course, this is meant for students who would be younger than most students in our bridge class, but the ideas are the same. So try avoiding praise and see what it does to your class. It's incredibly difficult to do. I'm really a great fan of what the topic of this book is, and that's the danger of praising. The Better Bridge book that we're going to introduce in this issue of the Better Bridge Teachers Newsletter is this one, 2/1 Game Force. David and I wrote it with Eric Rodwell, who is a world champion many times, a top theorist. It was interesting why we chose to write a book on 2/1 Game Force. Over the past decade, more and more players have felt that they really had to play it. It can be tremendously complicated, but it doesn't need to be. So we had a few goals when we wrote this. First of all, we wanted the material to have the best theorist behind it, and that was Eric. We wanted it to be easily understood. Now, this book is in 4 colors because 2/1 Game Force has a lot to do with what's forcing. So the book, by having the color coding, with the yellow being an invitational bid and the red a sign-off bid and the green a forcing bid, makes it much easier for the students to understand. This book is multi-level. You could present it in 4 weeks to a class, some of whom had just finished the Bridge for the Absolute Beginner. It's very versatile. The other thing about it is that it's good whether you decide to play 2/1 game forcing or not. For example, Chapter 2 is about the forcing one no trump response. And the interesting idea here is that whether you're playing 2/1 game force and the forcing one no trump or not, openers' rebids after a one no trump response are almost identical. So it's a wonderful review of standard bidding. Chapters 3 and 4 in this book take a look at some more challenging and interesting auctions, but still they're very appropriate for a wide range of skill and experience. So 2/1 Game Force, my recommendation is that you introduce this in about 4 weeks, have a very general overview of it. Don't make it too long. I know that sometimes 2/1 Game Force can take 8 weeks or 10 weeks or even longer. So keep it short, 4 weeks. It's an introduction, and it's very straightforward. I say to the students, I want you to be able to say, if someone says to you, do you play 2/1 Game Force? I think you should say, yes, I do. There you go. The teaching tip in this issue of News and Views is about how we use the carefully constructed deals in our teaching. What are the different ways? We could start by having all 52 cards face up on the table. The teacher would then walk through points of interest in the bidding, play, and defense. Then the students could pick the cards up and play the deal. Another way is that we could have the students bid and play the hand on their own first, and then we could turn the cards up, face up on the table, all 52 cards, and talk about what happened. We could have a combination of these 2 methods. We could have the teacher go over the bidding, and then we could have the students make the opening lead and play the deal. The key here is that we want to be open to the different ways of using a deal. Sometimes we develop one philosophy. My suggestion here is try different ways. If all you do is have the students, play the deal first, in your next class, try to do it differently. Have all 52 cards turned up, talk about it, and then have the students play the deal. Now, our philosophy might be, well, they wouldn't want to. Why would they want to play the deal when they know all about it? My suggestion again is try it and see how it works. In our toolkit, we know that we have many different ways and we should use them as we think the energy of the class dictates. So there's the tip. Be flexible. Try different ways of using these carefully constructed deals that are in all of the Better Bridge books. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you for the next issue of the Better Bridge Teachers Newsletter.